All right. And I'm recording the audio on this end as well, so as soon as we're done, I'll edit this up and post it as a podcast as well. So, so how many cases of this rubbish do you guys got going on over there?
Well, we have, I think, just below 1,400 that is infected. But
Right.
again, Denmark is a small country, so compared to you guys, it's a tiny bit. But
Right.
yeah.
Well, we're oh, all right. What does it say? Go live whenever you want, brother.
Awesome.
All right. Let me get my phone dialed here. I do not need my volume up because I'm a retard. All right, let's see here. Holy guacamole, look at that. All right, we'll let some folks start getting on here. See if we can't all right, 14. Let some folks start joining in, and then we'll get this thing rolling. All right, it's jumping pretty good. Hey everybody, this is Greg Poole, Bowjunky Media, bowjunkymedia.com. It's time for another podcast / video live feed on Facebooky. Obviously, right now there are really no events happening, and that has been problematic for pretty much everybody in the whole world, not just the archery world, but everybody in general. But for those of you that listen to the podcast, you guys are familiar with what this means, and this means that we thank the people that make this possible, because if you think you're struggling individually, these companies right now are getting hammered. And so hopefully we can get out of this and some common sense can prevail. But AAE, Kafaru International, PSE, Bomar Archery, Martin Archery, Easton, Gas Bowstrings, First Light Camo, Feather Vision Lenses, Black Rifle Coffee Company, Viking Tactics, and our friends over at Zeiss. So we got the bills paid. So today's podcast, I wanted to, or live feed, I should say, I wanted to touch base with some I call them hashtag Euro homies. As most all of you could agree, archers are like extended family. We have been seeing these folks on tour, and whether they're from Europe or not, we've been seeing these folks for a long, long time, and they do become like a second family. And so when something like this happens, I've been touching base, private messaging and all that stuff, but with nothing else going on right now, I just wanted to kind of touch base with some of these folks and start seeing how things are going. So obviously, for those of you watching right now, you can see my first guest adorned in his beautiful black on orange AAE shirt. He said there's no barbers available in Denmark right now, so he's blaming his hairdo or his hair don't on lack of barbers. So we're gonna let him roll with that for now. But it's our good buddy Martin Damsbo. What's going on, brother?
Hey, thanks for having me. Well, so far everything's good. We get most out of what we can here in these crazy times.
Absolutely. So kind of give us, like you and I were talking about before we went live, the situation is not the same everywhere. And that's kind of what a lot of countries are coming to the understanding now of is, hot spots are hot spots and need to be taken care of accordingly. But the carpet bomb shut down the world is simply not working. Sweden right now has literally been the first country to say, hey, look, we're going to do this our way. You guys, being a small country, don't necessarily have the infections, but as of now, from what you said, things are, I'm not going to say under control, but things are manageable. So kind of give us, an idea of, what's happening in your country with this right now.
Well, we have had the government have been fairly early out and trying to condemn it and have people keep their distance and stuff. We are having, so far, I think we have about 4,400 do you call it? They have had the COVID, the corona, and 1,300 is past it and out of it again. And we are down to 180 deaths so far. The government have been doing a lot of good things about trying to keep people apart. They have closed down a lot of stuff and forbidden people to more than 10 people in a group. It seems a little bit drastic, but it seems like it's working. On the last press meeting that was from the Prime Minister, she was slowly easing up and saying maybe after Easter, if Danes still behave, then we might see a little bit of opening up again. But already now, you can see today we had a beautiful weather, and everybody is out in the local hardware shops because now they need to do garden stuff. So I'm not sure we will go through Easter without any complications, because people are easy to forget. But so far we have been doing very good, and all the barbers and all those kind of shops is closed down. But yeah, as you can see,
right.
So well, I was actually planning on getting a haircut like 2 days before. I was like, nah, not a problem. But then suddenly one morning, okay, 10 o'clock, everything closes, and yeah, not possible.
Yeah. I actually ran down yesterday when our governor made the announcement. I actually ran down and got my toes got my pedicure in yesterday before everything shut down, because got to keep them toenails tight. But anyway, so that's great to hear. It's one of the things that everyone's dealing with right now is the doom and gloom scenario. So it's great to hear that some countries and some people are actually addressing this as it's needed for them. So let's kind of get into the archery thing. For those of you that aren't familiar with Martin, he's been doing the professional archery gig for a long time. One of the nicest guys you're going to find on tour, period. And so talk to us a little bit. We will get into the shop. I want to talk about the shop for sure, but right now, talk to us about the Martin Damsbo professional archer side of this, and how you're feeling, whether it's frustration or whatever it may be with this happening as far as the shooting side goes.
Well, for this year is actually my 20 years of since I had my first event as a junior national team shooter. Nice. Actually, in Croatia, I know you're talking to Domagoj later on. It was actually in his home country. I had my very first junior cup with his sister, Ivana, there, and it's 20 years ago. I wouldn't have thought this would be my 20 years of anniversary in archery. That okay, everything's shut down. I don't know if it's because I'm getting too old, so I should just pack it up, or what they're trying to tell us. But no, it's very frustrating seeing all the tournaments keep being cancelled. But I actually think World Archery has been doing a very good thing about cancelling so far ahead now. So now we have at least something to plan for. At least we know we are not shooting tournaments the next month or two. Right. So because that was the most frustrating part in the start, because we have tickets booked for Guatemala, and now we are fighting with the plane companies and the insurance to get our money back from that, because everything was set up and ready to rock. But yeah, everything is cancelled so far. But I can see, compared to some of the juniors, I'm coaching some of the juniors here in Denmark. We have a talent center, and we can see all of them. They're very frustrated, and we can't go shoot because every clubs here are closed in Denmark, and all the local shoots are closed, and we are not allowed to coach them from the federation side as a training camp. So everything is closed down. So we're trying to help them not getting too frustrated and too stressed about it. I can remember from my earlier days that would be very frustrating, that you have really look forward for this season and now you can't do it. So what are you going to do? Lack of motivation and stuff. But in my older age, I can see it's okay. That is how it is. We can never control all of it and try to get the best out of it. So at the moment, for me, we are focusing on the shop. We moved it and just opened here this year at our own house. Me and Erica bought a property a year and a half ago, so we're trying to get everything ready for that. We have our own outdoor range and now indoor range. So the bad thing is we can't shoot any tournaments, but the good thing is actually I can get other stuff done. So when the tournament season starts up again, I'll be ready to rock it and really get fired on all cylinders.
Absolutely. So first of all, let me ask this. You said this is your 20th year?
Yeah. 20 years ago, year 2000, I had my first international uh, trip with a junior national team.
So what are they putting in the water over there? Because you look like you're literally 16. Like
Thank
between
you.
you barely you don't even look 20 years old. I mean, and then you have Stefan Hansen who literally looks 11. Great kid. If you guys don't know who Stefan Hansen is, I don't know what to tell you. But um, you look incredibly young. How old are you?
Oh, how old am I? I'm 34, I think.
Wow.
Turning 35 this
Whatever
year
they're putting
in
in the
May.
water over there is working. So let's talk a little bit about this archery shop. You said that basically it is your shop, and you and Erica purchased a house. And so let's back up a little bit. How long have you been either working in a shop or owned this particular shop?
Well, I'm not the full owner of this shop. I started in year 2002 as an apprentice in Baldur's Archery, and have actually never got a life since then. I'm still stuck. So it's actually still Baldur's Archery, but over the next, we are starting to plan so I can take over more and more of the shop. So when he gets old enough and want to do way more hunting and way more golfing, then I'll be ready to take over. So that's
Oh,
why
that,
we have been focusing on finding a property where we can put in this shop, because even though I'm getting older, I still love to shoot. I love to
sure.
travel, but all those young kids, Mikey, Stefan, all of them, they're just shooting so incredibly good. So I
Right.
need to focus on getting a range where I can still work, because that pays my most of my bills,
Sure.
but also have time to train so I can still travel and enjoy the archery life.
Sure. Now,
So that's been a very focus on us.
yeah. Now, so how long have you guys been in the process of transitioning the shop from wherever it was until to the house, and how far of a transition was that as far as distance?
Well, distance was not too much. I started in Denmark is kind of divided in two parts. We have two shops. I started in when we only had one shop in Jylland back in 2002, and in 2009 we took over a small shop here on Sjælland, close to Copenhagen, and where I was from start on there to be the daily manager. And that is the shop we have tried to. We kind of grew out of the old basement. It was a small basement, and I'm not as tall as you, but I could even stand and just touch the ceiling, and
Okay.
you couldn't shoot a recurve down there. And it was like it did its job, but I kind of want more. That's the worst thing about when you travel so much. You see a lot of cool stuff around, like in
Right.
Vegas at the Impact Archery. That is a lot of inspiration. So that's what we have tried to put into a Danish archery shop, because many of the shops in Denmark it's okay. You have a room here. We can put a shop. This one
Right.
here, we have tried to. We want an archery shop, so we have actually built it up around what we need to have there. So many of the people that have been helping us building it is archers themselves. The carpenter is
Sweet.
bow hunter, and the bricky is a target shooter. So all of those have been, oh, you need to do this and this and this. So I had some ideas, and they just showed me how we could actually do it.
Nice. Nice. And so, what sort of travel restrictions, if any, are there in Denmark right now?
Right now, inside Denmark, there's none. The government just took some new, they just got voted in some new rules, so they can, within one day, actually block the bridges in Denmark if it's needed. Uh, because we have two bridges that connects the three parts of Denmark. But that's within Denmark, so they haven't forced that yet, but it's there if we don't behave over Easter.
Okay.
But going to Germany or Sweden, where there's you can only come into Denmark from outside if you have a valid what do you call it? If you're going into work, or if you really have
Oh,
a valid thing you need to go for.
here we call
You
it
can't
essential.
go there as a tourist.
Yeah. Here we call
Sorry?
it essential.
Ah, okay, yeah.
We'll leave all those
Uh,
jokes aside. So let me ask this: if there's no travel restrictions, and we're definitely gonna get into the shop for sure. If you have any sort of a shooting facility there on site, what is preventing you, if anything, from having some of the juniors or having some other archers, as long as it's less than 10, come shoot at your facility that you created?
Well, actually, there's none other than it will be a little bit working against the federation's policy. And since I've been in the federation for many years, I want to work in the same direction. So it's kind of like a red line between all of the archery. But what we have done is for the juniors is the people that can't go shoot, don't have their own range or can't find a place, I have opened up for them to come and borrow my range, but it's with not the personal contact as they normally do. So they are more than welcome to come in, and we have opened up for that, so they can still shoot if they need to. Okay. And the same for the shop. So what we have just done is keep the 2 meters distance and not too many people at the same time. So we kind of like at our range outdoors, we say, well, maximum 4 people at the time. Then we are in no trouble compared to the restrictions from the government or from the federation. But it's in their private thing, so it's not anything official coaching.
Okay, so basically, for those of you over here or whoever's listening, so by federation, you're talking about the Archery Federation's guidelines, and then of course you also have the governmental guidelines. So the federation, and just to give Americans an idea, our organizations over here are nothing like the federations over in Europe when it comes to archery. Over there, it's a real thing. Our organizations can make basic recommendations and stuff, but our organizations don't govern our sport nearly as much as World Archery and some of the federations do, especially within countries over there where Martin is right now. So it just basically sounds like what you've done is extremely generous. You've just opened it up and said, hey, look, 4 of y'all can come shoot it at a time, but I can't come coach you. I'm not going to come interact with you. You guys can just come use the facilities and shoot and then roll out. And so you're offering that service, but you're just being very mindful not to step on the federation's toes or any of the other guidelines, correct?
Yeah, correct. We're trying to tiptoe around it so all of us get most out of it. Because again, the federation is actually in the same boat as us. They are annoyed that we have to do this, but because of its government that pushed down through all the sports, the IOC and the Team Denmark and everything like that, where they're pushing down, this is the public or the official announcement, then they have to do it. So even though we are a sport here where we are outside and it shouldn't be any issues, then they still have to do it from that point of view. Like the local club we are at, that's actually the club that I'm shooting in. The commune, the city board is paying a lot of money to the club for the elite shooters, for travel expenses and stuff like that. So when the commune go in and say, nope, you can't use the facilities because it's the commune thing, then they have to lock all the doors, because if they don't, if the commune or the city comes in later and say, oh, you didn't apply these rules, so we're going to take away your money, or other problems could be. So everybody's trying to play ball and actually getting a lot of good things out of it. I see all the juniors I coach. It's they're doing a tremendous job of new thinking, blank bailing and trying to find a local range where they can just go and shoot up, or even buy a target and put up so they can shoot with all the safety, of course. Right. But they're doing a lot of good job, and all their parents is supporting it a lot and helping them what they can. And on the other hand, also when they just came from a busy indoor season, if they had to have a down season now, it's actually better now than halfway through the season or something. So now they can slow down a little, work on their physique, and do some cardio. And the coaching we are doing now is 1 to 2 times a week. We're actually doing like we do now, a training session for home gym exercises. So we still get a hold of them and have fun and have a chat every week. So
nice, absolutely. So first of all, for all of you folks watching watching this live feed right now, like and share this live feed so more people on Facebook can tune in. Secondly, I got to make fun of myself real quick because no, I did not intentionally wear a black shirt to sit in front of this black backdrop to where I basically look like a floating neck and face. I'm just going to throw that out there. I know Martin hasn't said anything yet, and I haven't seen any comments yet, so I'm just going to crack on me first and say no. I did not intentionally wear a black shirt on a black background so I look like a giant floating head. That is mildly irritating. So anyway, moving on. So let's talk about your shop. First of all, where's the shop located, and repeat the name for everybody.
Well, we are located 20 minutes outside of Copenhagen. It's Baldur's Archery, and it's close to a smaller city called Køge. We moved here and we opened it up like, when was it, 11th of January this year.
Oh, nice.
And we were actually really looking forward to see what could happen with the new facilities, and then we are being hit by this corona. So it's kind of like, well, we'll see what we can get out of it. So, but it was not the opening that we were hoping for. We actually, well, our release day, our opening day, we were having a hard time figuring out, okay, how many hot dogs should we buy for the people that came around and saw the opening shop, and we were like, 50 to 80 people. Then we'll be happy for Danish archery. That would be really good.
Right.
And I think we counted more than 230 people here.
Nice.
My mom and the helpers we had to go to the shop like 3 times to get more hot dogs and cake and stuff like that. So we had a tremendous opening. We were really happy with the feedback we got from all the people that were supporting it. So nice. That was cool.
Yes. So let's talk about, first of all, you are still open for business at this moment. You are still selling all of the goods that you would normally have and have access to. Obviously, if you want to jam down to Martin's shop and have him order something special, it's probably going to be a while for that. But so once this started, kind of give us a brief overview of kind of how you have the business set up right now as far as not going over the 10 people, because I could easily see way more than 10 archers just deciding to head to the archery shop all of a sudden. So how are you managing the aspect of customer control?
Well, we have always been lucky to have, as many other archery shops, as a lot of great customers, and we have always tried to get them to call in advance, even just in regular to call in and book a time. Because archery is a small shop thing in Denmark. We are only about 3,000 to 5,000 registered archers within hunting and target. Okay. So it's a small shop. So it's not like we have like 5 people working here at the moment. We actually only in this location we only me, my helper. He's since we moved the shop and since this corona, we have had to give him few hours because we don't know where this is going. So because people have always been good at booking times in advance, then we always ask them to do it even more now. And we have signs at the door, stop, please go and wash your hands before you come in.
Gotcha.
Because everybody is going to grab the bows, and we are trying the best we can, but right. We can't go and clean the bows like after every 5 minutes. So wash your hands before you go in, and we are having hand sanitizers there when we finally got some, because everything was sold out. We just couldn't get it.
Right.
So we have that going on, and then we have lines in the shop, 2 meters distance, please keep your distance. And then if we have a new person have to try a new bow and stuff like that, then of course we clean up the bow afterwards and wash hands and stuff. So we're doing what we can there, and people are really good at booking times, because a lot of places in Denmark is closed down, like the local city here. Because of they're not allowed to be so many people out, and the government tells people to stay home, then just the local stores, like just for clothes, and that it's not hit by that they have to be closed. They're actually shutting down because there's no reason to be open, because during a whole day they maybe have like 3 or 5 customers here in Køge. Right. So you see the whole center of the city is closed down because it's not worth it for them. The government have issued, I think, like 13 help packages to help small businesses, so you don't fire your people, you will get some funding back from the government, and costing a fortune, but that's why it's working so good, I think, because a lot of shops is then closing down temporarily. But we are lucky, we can still do it, and people are really good at booking times and come in whenever there's room for it. So we're having like 3 to 5 people maximum in the shop at the moment. If there's more people, they have to wait outside. In worst case, they can take the bow and shoot on the outdoor range while they wait.
There you go.
So no, they're working really good with us, and in these crazy times that we don't know if we're going to be. Every time there's a new press release from the government, we're like, oh shit, are they closing us down now? Are we not allowed to be open? So I'm working 24/7 at the moment, actually not even shooting a lot, because when I have a bow in, I try to get it out the door again the next day or the day after if it needs new strings, even though normally it could take a day or 2 or 3. Now it's just the faster the better, because if they suddenly lock it down, then people can't have their bow and they can't shoot, and I know I would hate that if I were locked outside of my bow. So
Sure.
we're really trying to get stuff out of the door really fast, because we don't know what next week brings.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So let's jump into some products now, folks. I've never been to Martin shop. I don't know exactly if this turns into 15 minutes of just product names. I'm okay with that. But just kind of give us a brief overview of some of the brands that you carry there in the shop.
We try to have whatever the customer's need is. But again, everybody always wants the one thing you don't have. But we have Prime, Matthews, PSE, Bowtech,
Wow.
in the shop, just for the PSE. Yeah. And for each one of those brands, we have as many of the bows we find that fits the Danish market, both for the hunting and for the target. For the sights, we have Sherlock, we have Axel, we have Shibuya, and also some cheaper products for the entry level.
Sure.
For the Aerorest, the AAE, of course, and the Hamsky and Q8E, and so we have a little bit of everything that is up on the big wheel, and whatever we don't have, we can order in from JVD, SSA, Big Nami, or even Lancaster. We get shipments from as well. So we're trying to get in whatever we need for the customers.
Sure.
But like you said, after these weeks, if we don't have it in, you might expect a little bit of delivery time, because it's you see shops, dealers and manufacturers have to close down for a few weeks, and that will definitely make it slower in the future. So
Right.
As long as we have it in stock, we can have it ready for you ASAP, but if not, then we can order it, and we hope it comes fast.
Right. So what sort of percentages do you guys have on target archers versus hunters?
Well, if we take the raw numbers, I think we are about 70% hunting and 30 target.
Really?
But it's
Okay.
it's a little bit. At least that's our sales. But you see more and more target archers doing on their own, because they can do all the YouTube and figure out how to do it, and they normally keep their bow for a few years when they finally get their dream bow. Where we see a lot of hunting is exploding the last few years in Denmark. So it comes from being like 500 bow hunters back in, I don't know, year 2000 or just before 2000, and now we are about, I think, 2,000 bow hunters.
Wow.
So that's climbing, where the federation, the target industry in Denmark is leveling out the same numbers in the same time span. They maybe grew 500 members, registered members, of course.
Right.
So bow hunting is the new black in Denmark. It's back to nature, and it's really growing. And you see a lot of rifle hunters want to switch over to the bows. We actually just last year got allowed to shoot the big stacks in Denmark. Before we were only allowed to shoot reindeer as the biggest, and now we can shoot the big stacks. So it's really
what again? Radia?
Reindeer. It's a small, kind of like a small fawn or something. I'm not sure of the American word for it.
Okay.
It's not a big deer.
Oh, but it's just a deer.
Yeah, it's a small deer.
Okay. All right. I was going to ask what kind of variation of animals can folks hunt there?
Well, yeah, we can hunt everything within the Danish animal at the moment after the new rule. So hare, pheasants, rabbits, reindeer, and now stags and does. So now we can do that, and that actually also opened up for way more bow hunters in Denmark, because before it was only rifle hunters that was allowed to shoot the big
Right.
big game compared to Danish standards. So now when they can shoot it with the bow as well, we actually see a growth, and you see a lot of rifle hunters turning over to the bow, and they are used to a scope costing a fortune, if it's like size Swarovski scope on their rifle. So for them to come into the bow industry is fairly cheap. So we actually see a lot of good business in that area, and they can get started with. We sell tons of the good starts kits from the Quest of Prime or the PSE drive bows. They're really good and easy to set up and sell for a new hunter, and without it costing them a fortune.
Awesome. Now, do you guys have any predators? Oh,
no. Fox, that's the biggest.
All right. And are those is there a tag for those? Are folks allowed to hunt fox, or?
No, only if it's in if they are doing damage to the population for the area there normally. Okay.
Gotcha. So talk to us a little bit about what you're hearing from your customers. I mean, it's always I'm always interested to hear what you're hearing and what any individual person in whatever area that they might be in, because as I've always said, a sampling is not a consensus, and so things are not the same everywhere, not in countries, cities, whatever it may be. So what sort of feedback are you guys getting from your customers about how you have handled this situation as a shop who continues to service those customers?
Well, the feedback so far has been really good. Like I said, many people call up and ask just to check, are you guys open? And luckily we can say still, yes, we are still in business. We're still working, and we're working hard on getting stuff done fast. And the feedback we have had has been really good, because it's, again, a lot of understanding from the people. They keep the distance, and they come in and as the first thing wash their hands, and a nice keeping the distance to the other customers, and have good when they come down to the shop, they have good time. They're not stressed or anything, so everybody's taking it as calm as possible. I think they also see it as a place where they can go, and yes, right here it's not feeling so much as a corona craziness, because it's still what we can do. And many of them is actually, some of them have lost their jobs, have been sent home or from their work, so suddenly they have to get time to go while they're at home watching the kids. So for them to be able to come in and get a bow, or get their own bow restrung, or new arrows for it, so they can go shoot. And because the bow hunting starts on 16th of May, so now it's perfect for them to start training for that, because they can't go to work, they can't do much else if they have a range in their backyard, of course.
Absolutely. All right, so last question, then I'll let you go. So what is the very first thing Martin Damsbo is going to do when all of this rubbish is done? When everything's over, events are rescheduled, everything is back to normal? Just basically, when everything opens back up, what's the first thing Martin Damsbo is going to do?
Well, I think when we get to our first trip, when it's back to normal, actually suddenly we will appreciate more what we normally did. Like I've been thinking about, we saw everybody in Vegas a few months ago, and it was like, oh, it's just Vegas like normal. But no, actually we get to see all our, like you said, our different side of family. And actually right now we're missing it. Like normally now we would have had one World Cup, or at least getting ready for one World Cup, and we know if we don't see people there, we'll see them next month. But right now we don't know when we see our brother or sister from the other side of the world with the bow. So I look forward to getting back to where it's like, going to see our family.
There you go. Awesome. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you taking the time today. Let everybody out there watching and listening know where they can keep up with Martin Damsbo on the internet, and even more importantly, how they can get a hold of you at your shop and procure all of the arching items they may need right about now.
Well, everybody can always catch me on Facebook. Martin Damsbo, I have my athlete page, and a lot of people out there still are also on my private page. So hit me up with a text or anything. Or if not, then baldursarchery.dk. That's where the shop is, and we'll try to help you as good as we can.
Absolutely. And do you have a website for the shop?
Yeah, baldurs-archery.dk.
All right. Phone number.
0045 9718 33 56. It's getting that Danish numbers into the English numbers. It's not easy. You can get it in Danish as well. 97 18 33 56. That's way easier, right?
Well, there you go. And I was going to close with saying, in your native language, let everybody that's in your home country right now watching, send out whatever message you want to them in your native language. 1, 2, 3, go.
Hej alle sammen. Pas på jer selv. Husk at holde afstand, men husk også at skyde jeres bue.
Yep, I agree 100%. Exactly what he just said. All right, buddy. I appreciate you. Keep in touch, and you guys be safe out there. And I appreciate you, brother.
Be safe, and say hello to Domi for me. Bye.
All right, we'll do it. All right. That there was Martin Damsbo. He is definitely one of the good guys we got out there. So let's now I just got to figure out how to get Martin queued up, or excuse me. Now I just got to figure out how to get. All right. Thought I had this queued up. Trying to call Dom right now. Here we go. I am like that, and then we go like this. I had that queued up, people. I swear I had it queued up. We were ready to go. I'm going to blame Facebook. It's the internet's problem. Holy guacamole. Look at that shaved head right there. That is a man from my own heart. It's Domagoj Buden from Croatia. What's going on, my brother?
Yeah, the quarantine haircut is here, but it might stay.
Well, hopefully if Martin Damsbo is tuning in right now, he can see exactly how to handle the quarantine haircut deal, because Martin was taking a little bit of the opposite approach. And I do have to tell you, mathematically, the angle of the wall and the windows behind you is making my mind freak out, but we're okay. We're fine. I'm just messing with you. What's going on, brother? How are you?
There.
Yeah, how are you, man?
All right. I mean, as much as it can be at the moment. Like, trying to cope with everything, trying to run a bit every day and not get too depressed.
Absolutely. So let's talk about Croatia first. And for any of you folks wondering where Croatia is and what it looks like, give it a Google and just take a look at some of the pictures of that place. It's ridiculously beautiful. It's an amazing spot. So kind of bring us up to date on what is happening in Croatia right now as far as quarantines, businesses shut down, and all that stuff.
Well, I have to admit, firstly, that I'm really proud how Croatia reacted. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but they reacted pretty well. So we are doing pretty well at the moment with the whole the corona cases and everything. We only have 1,100 cases, I think.
Nice.
And we are only increasing between 5 and 10% per day, which is good. I'm pretty happy with that. The thing that I'm not happy with is that everything is locked down. Non-essential shops are locked down. We can't travel between cities in Croatia, and everything is in lockdown. We can go to stores, to a drugstore, and I can go wash my car, and that's about it.
Right. So what is the situation there within the country as far as travel goes? Can you move freely within the country, or are you locked down to your particular city or neighborhood?
No, we're locked down to our cities right now.
Okay.
Probably gonna stay like that for a while because it seems to be working. Our cases are slowing down. but we can travel freely within the city. It's not as bad for me because I'm in the capital, so I have quite a lot to travel within. But other people like Mario, for example, he's in a smaller city and he can't really go far.
Gotcha. Now, also, not that all this drama wasn't enough. Croatia, or at least where you were, apparently decided to follow suit with what was happening in Salt Lake City, and y'all just decided to have some earthquakes. Which, for those of you wondering, and I have gotten some messages about this, let me explain the difference between a city like Salt Lake City having a 5.0 or a 5.9 earthquake, and places like over in Croatia where those buildings have been there longer than America. Like, literally, there's buildings there that have been there longer than our entire country. And so an earthquake over there is not the same as an earthquake here because of the structures, because of that. Obviously, the people are the same, cars are the same, but the structures over there, they're a different kind of thing. So talk to us a little bit about what happened with the earthquake and some of the damage and kind of how things are being dealt with there.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks because where I live in the actual city, the epicenter of the earthquake was pretty much around 1 mile from where I live. So every single small aftershock we could feel, and we would shit our pants every time, no matter if it's 0.5 or 3.5, we would jump, feel horrible. I mean, for the first few days, we all slept in our clothes because you're never sure if it's gonna hit again, because they say like the aftershocks can be as strong or stronger depending how much force came out with the first hit. But the center of the city is extremely old and not very well maintained. So the center of the city got hit really badly. I mean, I think the top 20 yards of our cathedral literally fell off.
Yikes.
Yeah, that was quite bad. We were kind of lucky because of the whole Corona thing. The only lucky thing about this is that no one was outside.
Right.
Sadly, there was only one victim, and she's I think 15 years old or something. She passed away because she got hit by stuff falling off of a building.
No,
but if it was in the middle of the day, and if it wasn't for Corona and the whole lockdown, it would have gone much worse. So kind of the positive and the negative is that not many people were hurt, just kind of scared.
Right, and that's good. And so, you know, obviously not, especially where I'm at, not having to deal with buildings of that construction nature or that age. What do they do, or what is your country, or more importantly, what is your town doing? Because once an earthquake like that hits and buildings are compromised, like you said, the top 20 yards of the whole cathedral fell off. What do they do with those buildings to make sure that there's no more debris that's going to fall?
But to be honest, I'm not completely sure because I can't get into too many details to not get in trouble with my city, but they're not doing much. There's people from a few universities going around checking the buildings and giving green light or red light if you can still stay in there or not.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. What's happening right now, they're fixing some of the roofs in the middle of the city, but not much is happening. They wrapped some buildings so people don't walk close to them, but
right.
Not much is happening. By my opinion, much more should be happening. But
so,
they spend too much money on wrong things.
Yeah. Welcome to the world. So, do you think that the lack of attention to those structurally compromised buildings is in part due to the COVID-19 lockdowns, to where they don't want to bring in that many construction crews, or what do you think? Or do you think that they're just going to wait until it's all over to deal with any of it?
Honestly, I just think it's connected to money, because there is quite a lot of construction workers. They're still building just ridiculous statues in our city that are not important right now.
Gotcha.
So I honestly think it's only connected to money and what they spend it on and what they don't want to spend it on.
Well, I can't really argue that too much. I mean, we just passed a multi-trillion-dollar bill, and we're giving $19 million to Africa to help with grasshoppers. So I can't judge on governments misspending money because America has that down to an art form. But let's get to the archery side. So with all of this happening, you are shooting archery professionally. You just started doing that full time here several years ago. So right now, what are your options for continuing at least the practicing side of your craft?
Well, for me, it's actually not really bad because we built an indoor range from our house. So I have an indoor range at home, so I can't really complain. I'm quite lucky with that. Also, my archery range is within my city, so I can go to 50 meters and practice.
Oh, nice.
Don't have much willpower to do that right now, to be completely fair, because it's on the other side of the city.
Right.
There are some people there shooting already, like being alone, but we can't be there in groups more than 5. So it's kind of pointless to drive over there and go back home. So I'm just shooting 20 meters now, mostly with my indoor setup. So it's not bad for me. I'm quite lucky.
Nice. Well, that's good. That's good. So let's talk a little bit about the and I don't necessarily know if it's even a health issue. So I'm not sure. I've not talked to you about this for a while, but at the beginning of this year, you were dealing with some impressive pictures from therapies, but kind of tell everybody what happened with you physically, what the deal was with that, and kind of where that's at right now.
Well, at the moment, touch wood, thankfully it's great because I haven't been shooting much and the therapies really helped. But I mean, the whole left side of the muscular side was trapped, and the right side I had kind of nerve damage, and the nerves were trapped. That was the biggest problem because I couldn't anchor normally without pain. But after a few weeks of intense therapy, it got much better.
So what resulted in that pinched nerve?
Honestly, I think many years of shooting like a lunatic and overdoing archery practices and gym at the same time and not giving my body enough rest.
Gotcha. And how old are you right now?
I'm 22, turning 23 this year.
23, and you're already wearing yourself out, Dom. Come on, man.
Yeah, and I'm both.
And I'm bald. And I'm bald. So let's talk about archery shops. You know, obviously, if you were tuned in, just seeing Martin Damsbo there in Denmark, his shop is still running for now. They're just doing everything they can to get stuff out the door. What is the archery shop situation in your town?
Here, everything is shut. That's non-essential, and considering we have about, I think, 700-800 registered archers in the whole country, archery is quite non-essential.
Right.
And forbidden, so
right.
Non-essential.
So
shops are shut.
Absolutely. So what else are you, at this point, and look, this is a common thing, folks. I'm talking with a lot of archers, and motivation right now is not super high. Now, if they came out and said, oh, by the way, we're good to go, there's this, national or world event in 3 weeks, Dom will be motivated instantly. However, right now, there's really no light at the end of that tunnel for several months. So the motivation side, I totally understand. So from a mental health standpoint, what else are you doing besides archery right now to stay sane, stay engaged, to basically pass the time without being too detrimental to everything else that you're going to have to eventually be doing again?
Well, at the moment I'm playing a ridiculous amount of Xbox, to be completely fair, and I'm getting extremely annoyed already with that. And I spend around 2-3 hours a day walking the dog and running and working out. My car can't get any cleaner, so I'm done with that.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna work around the garden a bit and like shooting with my dad, like for an hour or 2 hours every day, and maybe every second day to not exaggerate.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, how far are you? For those of you wondering, Dom's sister Ivana shoots as well. His father's a very good photographer in archery. He travels to a lot of the events as well. So, how far are you from your sister and your dad right now?
Well, my dad is actually in my house now, in our house.
So not
Uh,
far.
because of the earthquake, their flat got quite damaged, so they're in this house right now.
Okay.
Because I usually live with my grandma, and my parents are on the other side of the city, so they kind of moved over here at the moment until that gets fixed.
Gotcha.
Well, I have two sisters, so one sister is an hour and 15 away in a different city, so I can't get to her at all. And Ivana is quite far away. She's 25 hours drive.
25 hours drive?
Yeah, I did that before. 25-hour drive or like a 2-3 hour flight plus a train.
So and she lives in Croatia, correct?
Ivana?
Yeah.
No. She lives in Sweden.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I know Croatia was long, but man, 25 hours seems a little bit long for me. Ah, well, that explains it. Okay. I thought she still lived in Croatia. My bad on that. So how are they doing other than the frustration of all this?
Ivana in Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing pretty decent because their country didn't lock it down completely.
Right.
They live in a not northern part, but they live quite far away from the big cities, so they're not too influenced by all of this, and I hope they won't be. They can go to practices normally, they can shoot normally, they can go to work normally, so for them not much has changed really.
Nice, nice. Well, and I actually just saw a article today, a pretty good article today on how Sweden has handled all of this, and I wish we would have copied that model as opposed to China's model, but that's a podcast for another day. So as you see this extended period of time where you're not going to be able to basically do your kind of work, long term, what have you decided to do? Because obviously, like you said, you can't garden and play Xbox for 2 months straight. You'll literally go crazy. So what other things are you entertaining doing to fill some of that time?
Well, at the moment, my biggest hope is that they're gonna take off the city lockdown in a few weeks. That's at least my hope, that they'll take that lockdown down, so I can maybe go meet Mario and we can try practicing together, normally on a safe distance.
Right.
But we can try practicing together and just try motivating each other, because just motivation at this point is the hardest thing. And then also when you get motivated, you shouldn't overshoot, because we don't have tournaments for months, and to peak your form three,
Right.
4 tournaments, it's completely pointless.
Absolutely. So I'm probably going to butcher this name, so forgive me in advance. Tuomo Laakso, Laakso, asks, can you guys shoot field during the lockdown in Croatia?
Well, we don't have many field courses. Our courses that are set up are 50-meter courses and our home ranges. So at the moment we can't shoot field, because of field that we can shoot is only tournaments, and we don't have those at the moment.
Gotcha. So let me ask a professional archery question here, and that is, as this progresses, being a professional archer means that you are paid to attend events. And when there are no events, that works fine when it's September, October, November. But in the middle of what is supposed to be our peak season, that gets somewhat stressful for someone who is paid to attend events. So obviously, AAE notwithstanding, what sort of communications are you having with your sponsors in regard to, maintaining, the communication and figuring out how to get through this time, in lieu of paid contracts?
honestly, I didn't want to bother them too much because I had a pretty good year last year, and I'm not doing too bad on that side. So I didn't want to bother them too much because I saw that the USA is jumping from one side to the other and have things quite complicated. So I haven't talked to many of my sponsors at the moment, and honestly, I don't know what to send. I don't know what to ask, and I don't know if it's fair to ask for money when there is no events. So we're here to try selling as much product as we can. So I think with exposure on social media and trying to make more videos and engage with people more over social media, I think we can maybe keep that working without that completely falling to bits.
Right. That's the exact reason we're doing these. That's the exact reason that we're doing the Bowjunky Media Quarantine Challenge, which coming here in just a little bit, Dom. Don't be impatient. The challenge is coming your way. Folks, for those of you wondering, yes, Dom is going to get called out here this afternoon for a Bowjunky Media Quarantine Challenge. I was going to call out Martin as well, but Martin is humping and bumping right now at the archery shop, so I'm going to give him a pass. Once things calm down there, we'll get him back in the mix. The Sultan of Smooth is also going to be participating with Dom there. So, hey, man, I really appreciate your time. I just wanted to touch base, see how everything's going. I know you and I have been messaging pretty often, but you keep your head up over there and find something. I got it. Macrame. You need to start macrameing. It's like sewing with thick yarn, and you can hang plants from it. It's a Mediterranean thing, and it's a hippie thing. But sewing, needlepoint.
I'm not gonna start doing that.
I got it. By the time this lockdown's over, you could be a awesome tattoo artist. Practice on yourself.
That's very true. I started washing the kitchen, which is kind of worrying.
He's like, I'm going to be a professional dishwasher by the time this whole thing's over. That's awesome. Well, hey, man, I appreciate it. Let everybody out there know where they can keep up with Dom and his quarantined adventures on the World Wide Web.
Well, at the moment, I'll be posting mostly on my profile. My profile is open on Instagram and Facebook, so it's open to friends and non-friends. So whoever wants to catch up, they can contact me and just follow what I'm doing and trying to keep myself amused through this time.
That's right. All right, man. I appreciate it, Dom. You keep being safe over there, and keep your head up for any falling debris if you do decide to go out.
Yeah, I'll try.
All right, buddy. Thanks, Dom. All right, everybody. That is Domagoj Buden right there. He's over in Croatia doing the thing, and you know, everyone right now is just trying to do what they can do to get by in this time. Martin is fortunate that he has an archery shop to work in, but you know, other than that, everybody's got to do what they got to do, and you know, we are starting to see a lot of information and a lot of countries really leveling out. And so I don't think this is going to be going on for months and months. I don't think that any country can afford for it to. But in the meantime, stay safe, everybody. And if you are at risk, just take care of yourself. Don't go out. Don't do that kind of stuff. If you got family members and all of that, have them take care of stuff for you. And so that's going to be it, everybody. We appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. We appreciate you guys tuning in, liking, and sharing this thing. We're going to keep doing these. We're going to have a big Q&A thing going on here real soon. So, all right, everybody, you guys know the drill. We want to hear from you, not about you. And as always, love, peace, and chicken grease. See you, everybody. Bye.